Ah,
Oh, no, there it goes.
Being recorded.
That's right. Posterity, here we come. But anyway, going back to the size of the file, Anna, if it's not too much of a problem, I could even come over and get it before supper.
sounds good.
I gather the size of it is a problem for you, though.
Yeah, I use the iCloud. So
Well, so now we just need our guests.
think
I also send everybody a reminder.
April's a guest, isn't she?
Right,
Okay, she just
Hi, I'm here. Y'all hear me?
yes.
Hi.
Hi, there you are. Is Michael going to be
Sorry.
able to make it later?
No, he's got a historic landmark commission hearing tonight, and he might be able to make it at the end. I'm hopeful that he will, but they're number 19 on the agenda, so I'm not sure if he'll make it in time.
Oh, wow.
That's
Anyway,
okay.
Michael's
it.
at a historical commission meeting, and we thought he might show up later, but April's going to present then.
Yes. Yep. Well,
And for those of you who've never met her, this is April Brown, Armbruster and Brown, and I'll let you introduce yourselves. Susan, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Susan Shore, and everybody calls me George. I am the secretary of the contact team, so I'm taking notes. And I will tag David Foster to introduce himself next because he's our other officer.
David Foster, Vice Chair, Contact Team. Now it's Anna's turn.
And everybody knows me. Yeah, go ahead, Anna.
Oh, please, Ray.
I'm Ray Collins, the chair, which I think everybody knows now.
And I'm attending as I'm Anna Patala. I'm the president of the Southwood Neighborhood Association. And I'm not on the contact team. I'm just attending and running the Zoom tonight.
But you are on the contact team. Everybody that's here in the South.
As a member, as an
You
officer.
want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Elizabeth Love. I'm a
Elizabeth?
contact member.
And I'm Jeff Bowen. I'm the ANC sector rep for this area. So.
Let's see. Well, I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. It's about 5 minutes after. I know Anna's got a hard deadline at 7:30. So my name is Ray Collins. I'm calling the meeting, this Zoom meeting of the South Manchac Neighborhood Plan Contact Team together. It's 6:34 p.m. on June the 7th. And since we are not an organization which needs a quorum for the people that are not aware of the bylaws, we'll just go ahead and start. In April, if you want to start your presentation.
Sure. So this will be a little bit of a kind of casual and a little bit disjointed since we got two different topics. But I just want to say first, thank you, Ray, for working with us to find a date that works for everybody. I know everyone has a lot of different things going on, and obviously, Michael's got a lot of different commission hearings that are happening right now. So I just really appreciate you guys accommodating us and finding a time that works for everybody. I want to start with the sign variance request. We over at St. David's have put in an application to the Board of Adjustment for a sign variance for the St. David's sign that is along the frontage road. right there on 71. I've got a presentation that I'll take us through. We believe this is a pretty straightforward request for the sign. The variance is really only necessitated by the retaining wall that St. David sits atop of, and I'll show you guys that in the presentation. But as you may be familiar, the tree cover and the curvature of the road there makes the sign difficult to see for some drivers. So, we're looking to elevate the sign above the tree line to help it stand out a little bit better. Drivers are coming at a pretty high rate of speed as they're coming down the highway, and they're looking for emergency medical services. So that, combined with the stress of being in a position where you're seeking the care at the emergency room, has led us to understand that we need to make that sign more visible for drivers. And I think we even have a couple stories, possibly even from the neighborhood, of some difficulties with either ambulances or personal drivers or loved ones having a hard time with the turn-ins there because of the wayfinding. So I'm going to, if I have the permissions on here, I'll go ahead and share my screen and we can walk through this. Let's see. All right. Everyone's got that?
I see it.
Got it.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay,
I see the screen anyway.
great. So here, as you guys can see, right here's 71. Here's the frontage road. This is the hospital. Right here is where the existing sign is. And the new sign will be located 6 feet behind it, just so we can get new stakes into the ground there. So it'll be pretty much in the same location as the existing sign, right there on the frontage. And this one right here shows you, I might make that bigger, it might be easier to see. Shows you what we've got right now. Right here, the existing sign is 27 feet high. And what we are proposing is a sign that is 35 feet high and is about double the area of the sign itself. I'll give you all a second to look at it. So you can see the existing sign are St. David's letters, are about a foot tall. And with the new sign, the St. David's letters will be about double the size. And the emergency room symbol, which is currently 18 inches, would be 28 inches. So it would increase the size of the lettering, right, to make that more visible and more legible to people who are approaching it quickly. Here's what you guys are very familiar with. Here's a sign as it is today on top of this retaining wall that comes right here. And this would be what the proposed sign looks like. So as you can see, this one is kind of under the tree line here. The new sign would be elevated above the surrounding trees. This is an exhibit that our engineers pulled just from Google Maps. It shows what drivers who are heading westbound see as they're coming across that curve. As you can see, the curve happens here. The sign is pretty blended in here with the tree line. It's difficult to see. If we were to be granted the sign variance, we would be given the ability to elevate the sign a few feet above this tree line and outside of the tree line, so it's more visible from people who are traveling, for people who are traveling this way down 71 if you need to exit and make a U-turn. Here's what it looks like as you are approaching St. David's coming east. Once again, the trees are covering it. You see the hospital sign here, but you can't see the sign itself, which points you towards the emergency room. But if we were to be granted the sign variance, we would move it further this way and elevate it above the tree line, so it would be more visible to the drivers. This exhibit is shows why we need the variance. So we're looking for a variance, and I'm over, sorry. We're looking for a variance to 25-10-123 of the Land Development Code. That part regulates the expressway corridor signs, which allow any signs to be the taller of 35 feet above the street grade or 20 feet above the base of the sign. Our sign, as I said, is would be 35 feet, which would be allowed in the base code, except for the fact that the hospital sits up on this 20-foot retaining wall, which means the way they measure it technically is from the street grade down here. So because of this retaining wall, they're starting their measurement here as opposed to here because they don't count this as grade. This is what it would look like as you were exiting right here. It's just another look at it. But I think, I think part of the reason that this sign variant feels straightforward to us is that it would be up to code, existing code, if not for this retaining wall. So if the hospital, the grade on the topography on the site were to be baseline here, the sign would be just fine. It would work well for us. But because we're sitting on a retaining wall, city staff, their regulations measure it from down here, which is requiring us to go to the Board of Adjustments to get a sign variance. I'll pause there. That's the last slide that I have, and see if you guys have any questions about that.
Yes, did you see Susan's note about asking you to send her your slide set? I think
No,
she put it in.
one sec.
Anyway,
in the
she would
chat.
like to have a.
If you would be able to send me a copy of the slide deck, we can make that available with the minutes so
Sure.
that folks who, because I think seeing the photographs would be helpful for people. My notes are a lot of numbers and feet, and it's just the pictures I think are a lot more compelling for people
Yeah,
to see what's going on.
absolutely.
I did
Give me
have
one
one question, which is why I raised my hand.
Sure thing. I was going to say I'm uploading them into the chat
Oh, okay,
right
cool.
now. So let me know if
Perfect.
can y'all see that?
Yep. Let me see, let me download. Yep.
Great. Okay. I don't see anything else in the chat. Was the question in the chat?
No, I just raised my hand. I'll
Oh,
lower it
okay.
down. My question was, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but just because of the way things look on the slide, I just want to confirm, this is just going to be like a printed sign like the existing one, right? It's not going to be a light up sign?
It is going to be illuminated.
It is going to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
illuminated. That
So
is a
that people
change
who-
from, is that a change from the current sign? Or is the current sign illuminated?
I think the current sign is also illuminated
Okay.
because we need people, who
Right, at
are
night.
looking for it at night to be able to find it.
Well, that shows you how difficult that sign is to see because I have never noticed that it's lit up. So.
Yeah, it's not.
Really?
I've also passed it. I live in South Austin as well, and it is very difficult to see.
But it won't flash or blink or change like a
No.
marquee. Okay.
No. Mm-mm.
Elizabeth, did you have your hand up for a question? I
Not
couldn't
that I
tell. a
know.
while ago. Okay, I wasn't sure. It was just you moving around. Is there a question from anybody else? That was a good question, Susan. Oh, Rodrigo is connecting.
Hey, sorry for being late, guys.
Rodrigo, could you just let me know your last name so I can enter it in the minutes? I'm taking the notes.
Yes, Rodrigo Cantu.
Cantu, thank you.
Yes, Nalit Street.
Rodrigo, I'm sorry, you just missed the presentation of the signs for the sign variance. You can get them out of the minutes later if you like. Do you have any, without having, it's going to be a larger sign along the frontage road, much taller than is actually allowed by the code at present. Do you have any particular question on your mind about that?
No, not at the moment. Just, do we have, where can I see the regulations, that limit the height of the sign? Or I don't know what's the actual code,
Sure.
that we can point to.
Yeah, I can show you right now. But it's also it's on the presentation
slide
that's
deck,
in there,
too.
but it's 25-10-123, and give me 1 second, I'll pull it up. Also want to let you guys know that Michael got lucky at Historic Landmark Commission, so he's back within just a few minutes of that started. So he is here now, and if you give me 1 second, Rodrigo, I will show you the existing code, and I can talk through what I had just mentioned to everybody. Give me 1 second. Can you guys see this?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we are on an expressway corridor, so
And,
it's
we did-
25-10-123B is what we're looking to modify. B3 specifically, the code allows for a sign to be 35 feet tall from the street frontage grade, or 20 feet above the base of the sign. The sign that we are, and let me show you, actually, let me switch this share over to the presentation, and I'll show you what we just went through, because here it is. So the existing sign is about 27 feet high, so it also is not what the code allows, only because the hospital sits atop a 20-foot retaining wall. So the sign that we are looking to install, let me make this a little bit bigger. The sign that we would be hoping to install, there it goes, would be 35 feet tall. So if the hospital were at grade, we would not need a code variance. We're not looking for additional height above what's allowed from the street grade. But because we're sitting on top of a retaining wall, the way the city is going to measure the height is from down here. So yeah, if we were sitting here at grade, we wouldn't need this variance, but because of the way the measurement works, we do need a variance.
And just out of curiosity, do you know what's the difference in height between the new sign and the building that is there? I'm imagining it's not taller than the actual building, right?
No, it's not taller than the actual building. The hospital has heights of up to 120 feet.
Okay.
And the existing sign, this sign that's here right now is 27 feet. So the sign that we would be putting up there would be 8 feet taller, and I can show you. So here's the existing sign from the frontage. And we would be moving it about 6 feet this way in the photo, closer to you, to get it in front of this tree, and it would be, this is what the proposed sign would look like. So it's better elevated above the tree line, so it's more visible. And then from the opposite direction, you can see here, for any vehicles or ambulances traveling this way, it's very difficult to see. It blends in with the tree line, and the proposed sign would be elevated above that, be a little bit more visible to cars that are traveling 70, 80 miles an hour.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I don't have any other comments.
All righty. So let's move on to the next item on the agenda then, if there are no more questions. And April had given Anna and I a call about a zoning change for a property that St. Good owns at 4007 James Casey. And so I made a counter proposal to her that instead of just telling it to me and Anna, that she tell all of us about it at the same time. And is Michael online?
Hey, I'm here.
He's right here behind me.
Did
Yeah,
you say
I'm
he was?
behind.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, how are you? I can turn the
Oh,
light.
good.
She doesn't like the light.
Sorry,
I'm lurking.
I don't like the fluorescent lights, so I keep them off. I'm sorry. Oh, so bright.
I'm lurking in the back. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so, yeah, and
Um,
thank you, Ray, for letting us talk to the broader group about this. I'm gonna pull this up just so you guys can see which medical offices I'm talking about. So we're talking about this tract right here, right off James Casey and Ben White. I'll pull it down so you can see. I'm sure y'all are all very familiar with it. What it is right now is some one-story office, some 1 and 2 story office buildings, with the majority of the tract being dedicated to surface parking. So you've got 2 stories here, some covered parking. We would be looking to redevelop the site, and actually last year, and some of you may be familiar with this, the St. David's engineers submitted a site plan that was looking to redevelop this to have a 2-phase medical office building development of about 4 or 5 stories. The first one would be about 120,000 square feet, and the second one would be about 80,000 square feet, and both of those would be equipped with a parking garage. So what we currently have is GR base zoning, which gives us 60 feet of height and a 1-to-1 floor to area ratio. We are likely going to pursue commercial highway zoning here, which is a little bit of an odd district. There's actually not very many of them. I think there are 36 total tracks in Austin that are zoned for commercial highway. But what that would allow us to do is to increase the height to allow us for some more flexibility to accommodate the additional medical offices and demand for medical access, and importantly, to accommodate the parking that would go with that. I know in our previous meetings with the neighborhood, parking along James Casey and Rodham Lane has been a headache for you guys. And so it's really important for us to make sure that the associated parking garage is well equipped so that we're not increasing, and hopefully so we're taking some of the parking off of the street and into the parking garage. So commercial highway zoning, if you're not familiar with it, it works in a really interesting way where the more height you are granted, the less impervious cover you get. What we currently have on the site is about 65% impervious cover, and we would be looking to stay around that area of 65%. That under the code would allow us to have up to 110 feet, but we are open to talking to you guys about capping that. You know, at 100, we're looking at something about 5 stories is what we're looking to do there.
Do you, how many,
and
what's the current height of the
Go ahead.
other, the tallest building right now?
The hospital has a height of up to 120 feet.
What's the height on the buildings currently on that lot, those 2-story?
They're about 35.
Can I ask a question here?
Of course, yeah.
So Ray was astute enough to send us around links to a zoning change that Councilmember Poole proposed that would
Mhm.
allow extra height in these circumstances. Although her argument, I thought, was to create opportunities for more affordable housing. So you're not obviously you're not contemplating anything other than additional medical office space here.
Yeah,
Correct.
and let me say first, yes, this would be specifically for the medical office buildings. And I think what you're referring to is the resolution that Councilmember Poole passed a couple weeks back about commercial highway plan development agreement or area, right? The CHPDA resolution, is
Correct.
that what it is?
Yes.
Right, yeah. For the CHPDA, that one is, that's a really interesting district zoning designation as well, because the PDA allows you to negotiate kind of every piece of your entitlements. We would not be looking to add the PDA to it. It would just be the base commercial highway.
Okay. Well, what I'm really getting at here is, I'm wondering what kind of community benefits we can get out of this. There was language around this CHPDA ordinance, but even if you're not using that, it seems like and the ordinance, the draft ordinance, or at least the staff interpretation of it, mentioned mitigating the impacts, the environmental impacts of highways. And of course, this highway is quite a barrier to bicycle transportation. As are highways pretty much everywhere they are in town, and I'm a cyclist, so I live this. And I don't know, Michael, do you know Eric Anderson by any chance? Does that ring a bell?
Eric Anderson?
Yes.
I don't, shame on me.
Okay, he's the guy who had the idea for the Crosstown Austin Bikeway, the Lance Armstrong Bikeway, and before that, the Minneapolis Crosstown Bikeway. And I've talked with him a couple of times about this whole situation here. What we're confronted with is a cyclist, or a cyclist is coming from the north. We round that curve across the UP tracks and have quite a steep hill on Bannister, coming up towards Benwhite. While there's a Union Pacific Railroad line that just goes underneath it, flat and smooth and straight. And I don't know that we can talk with Union Pacific and get what we need, but St. David's owns this land, I think, that butts right up against that rail line on the south side. And there's a way to access the parking lot near the parking garages on the west side of the St. David's complex, and go through what is now open land and go underneath Benwhite from the south to the north, that would flatten that hill and be so to speak, for a cyclist, and be a tremendous boon to through bicycle transportation. And there's even a precedent for this at 183, where Shoal Creek Boulevard heading north hits 183 right alongside the Union Pacific tracks. There is now, and only recently has there been, a switchback bike trail that goes under 183. This was the Great Wall of North Austin. And this is something cyclists like me scoped out way back in 2004 and earlier. And now, thanks to the good work of the Austin, bicycle department, we have a very usable way to bike safely and walk safely underneath that barrier. And it would be great if St. David's would commit, and I'm happy to arrange conversations about this, to working with the cyclists in the city and whoever else we need, so that we can acquire enough right of way to build a very, very fine, safe crossing beneath Benwhite. And the advantage is, and I'll shut up, it also comes very close to the Bergstrom Trail, which is the east-west route that comes off of Vinson and then goes straight east to the airport, right through part of our neighborhood, as well as Bike Route 31, which is Vincent, Emerald Forest, et cetera. So it's a prime location for this kind of connection. And this, to me, is Ray did ask us, to his credit, for us to think about what kind of community benefits we could ask you to consider in exchange for support on additional height here. And this is top of mind for me.
Yeah, no, as a cyclist.
Yeah, and I want to point out.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ray.
Yeah, and I wanted to point out also that Vinson Drive is one of the city's bike routes. I think it's 35 or something, and it's a very substandard road. And I'm not expecting you all to do anything about that, but to connect up like David is talking about, and then the fact that the city is already committed to buying the Bergstrom Spur just recently at the June 1st meeting. This sort of all holds together in my mind, although I do want to speak about another community benefit that my wife brought up. Go ahead, Michael. Why don't you address what
Yeah, no, so
Ed was talking about first?
I ride my bike up Bannister. I mean, when I go on a south route, so I know what you're talking about, David. I don't know who owns the property on the other side of 71, opposite of St. David's. I know there's an electric easement that we had to convey to build that parking garage down there, because there's so I would need to just go back and look at the electric easement. I can't imagine that the electric easement would be something that would prevent something from being there. So I don't see any reason why we can't engage in a broader conversation. I just don't know who owns that property.
Nor
other
do I,
side.
but I think your expression, broader conversation is spot on. This is what we need to do, is figure out who owns all the properties and see if we can cobble together a plan. And on the question of easements, I'll just point out that Dallas has a surprisingly good system of bike trails, some of which travel along electric utility easements.
I agree. Like I said, there shouldn't be a reason that the Austin Energy electric easement prevents that. They just need a place to stabilize and put their equipment. You know how they put they retract and put down things to stabilize their machine, their equipment. That's their requirement.
So I guess what I would like is a commitment from St. David's to sit down with a few of us at least sometime within I don't know what your timeline is. It'd be good to get a sense of that. But I'm going to be doing some traveling for the next 4 weeks or so, but sometime before the end of the summer, and see if we can figure out who the stakeholders are and whether there's a way that makes sense to cobble together a safer way. I'll tell you, as a cyclist riding from the river up here, it's a couple 100 feet ascent, and the hardest hill is the one at Bannister. It is the hardest hill.
That just means you and I are getting old, David.
This is
Come on
true.
now.
I'm resisting getting an electric bike. You know, I don't want it until I absolutely have to have one. I'd rather have flat, straight routes than an electric bike.
Yeah. No, David, from my perspective, this would be a good conversation to have, because we would just need to communicate, I think, with obviously TxDOT and whoever's on the other side of us as well. But I would totally agree and welcome that.
So what's your timeline on this?
When are we going to file? We were hoping to get your support, file the application. We kind of our approach is always to talk to the neighborhood first, get feedback, then file. Obviously, preference would be with a letter of support. If not, we file it, we come back, continue a discussion, but start moving towards a hearing. But they're pretty backed up. I can't imagine this is going to get heard before August.
No.
Yeah, it's not going to get heard before August.
I'm not
But-
convinced it'll be heard until next year.
Yeah.
If we filed it tomorrow, we're looking at 9 to 12 months waiting for any zoning case.
But I think if we had concurrence, if we come to an agreement on kind of capping the height appropriately, I really don't think this case is going to kind of stall. I hope not.
Yeah. And these conversations can happen before the hearings happen.
Have their hands up.
I had just been
One
looking
of
up
them,
the,
please.
I just been looking up the owner of that lot, so I just popped that into the chat. It's some kind of corporation, shell corporation. Some kind of holding company, looks like.
Sheldon.
So yeah, some LLCs from what I saw.
Oh, Sheldon Kahn.
You know the name?
I know a David Kahn. I wonder if it's him. And I think he works at 804 Congress. We can chase that down.
The D, yeah. That's just from TCAD. So.
Yeah.
Hey,
Anna, you want to?
I have a quick question, April and Michael. Can you talk a little bit about the economic impacts this will have? I don't know.
Well, just a second, Rodrigo. Rodrigo, hang on just a second. Anna's had her hand for quite a while to ask a question, so let's let her ask her question.
Thanks, Ray. I was going to ask about parkland dedication, if there was any, was that going to be done as part of this development?
I think they, actually, I think that site currently has some courtyard area in the middle of the medical office building. And I'm not sure if that's gonna be kept or not, but in terms of the dedicated parkland piece, with it being a commercial project, that's not something that the city does for the commercial projects. But St. David's typically does a pretty good job of having courtyard areas for the patients and for the providers to have some area to kind of get outside of the building and be in nature with the high stress environments that often exist in the hospitals and in the medical office buildings.
So I was gonna make a suggestion of property that's very close by that you may consider. Is there at Radham and St. Elmo. There's a very small residential lot that's adjacent to the Bergstrom Spur. That would be a nice area not only for that complex, but as well as the hospital. For the employees to go to have a place to deflate, because I know that with the addition of your parking garage that you're going to, or the extension of the hospital that you're doing, that you're not going to have as much space on site at the hospital as you do now. And that might be a nice spot where you could do like a meditation space for the employees of both facilities. And like I said, it's a small lot, so I can't imagine that.
Could you, I'm trying to see if I can find it on them, so.
Is it for sale? Does somebody have a for sale sign up right now?
I think there was one at one point. But it's kind of a sad little lot there.
Do you think you could pull it up similar to how Susan pulled that up? I'm trying to. Is it the very, very corner here?
Can you say which corner it is again, Anna?
Uh-huh. It's on the northeast corner. So, oh, I'm sorry, it's James Casey and St. Elmo. That's that's
Okay,
the corner.
okay.
It's a kind of like a little triangular kind of tiny lot there. And it's butted right up against the Bergstrom Spur.
Oh.
So it's James Casey and St. Elmo, and it's on the northeast corner.
Yeah, there's some kind of footprint there, but whatever was there has been torn down. It's like,
Yeah. So it's just a little overgrown little lot that has kind of like barbed wire around it or something.
Mm.
But
What is it? What is it?
It's James Casey, northeast corner
James Casey and
of James Casey and St. Elmo.
St. Elmo.
Yeah.
But I see a lot of your employees walk in that area. There's not really a sidewalk there.
Mhm.
So it might be a nice spot, like I said, to be able to put somewhere outside that they could go and have some quiet time away from the hustle and bustle and stress of the hospital and the medical center. I mean, I know that you're not required to do
Sure.
parkland dedication, but I think that it would be good PR for the hospital.
That's helpful. We made a note of that.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
And you ready to go? That all for you for now? Yeah. Let's go ahead and go to Rodrigo. Rodrigo, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to have an idea of the economic impact that this medical office building is going to have. I don't know, just in terms of jobs and the size of the investment. If you can share that, I think that's also good to know. And just a side comment, I know that I normally drive through there, and I know there's a lot of people crossing that road. So I think, I don't know if they park on the other side and then they work on the hospital. So just a suggestion, just take a look at that if they have to better accommodate that pedestrian crossing between those two lots.
And you're talking about across James Casey?
Yes.
Yeah, that was something I think that Ray, you and I and Anna and Michael and everyone talked about on our site visit. And I do want to talk about that some more because as you may remember, when we met back last year, that was pre-election. So I think Ken Craig was out there. There was another candidate who was out there, but as y'all obviously know, Ryan Alter is in office now that his office is settled in. We'd be more than happy to reach out to them and have a site visit with them, ATD, to look at that, see how to improve the visibility and the safety there now that they've got that new council office in and they seem to be settled in and kind of rolling.
Maybe after the summer.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if that one for the heat, but two, traffic counts in general are pretty off in the summer, just given that UT's gone and school's out, so it may be better in the fall when people are back in town.
And I would also note the garage that we built it does accommodate most of the employees. I mean, one of the issues was to be sure we had a parking garage at the hospital that would accommodate patients, visitors, and employees because of the parking and traffic on James Casey. I know that we heard anecdotally that people still park on James Casey, so we know that that's still happening because they don't want to have to hassle with the parking garage. So I'm not. You can lead a fish to water, but sometimes they just drown. I don't know where I came up with that. Anyway. But in terms of economic development, though, you wanted to show this is just kind of gives you a sense of what we're focused on right now. I'm gonna go over it.
Yeah, and this is just the existing piece in Rodrigo. We can get you more information. That'll come when obviously the site plan gets done. We'll have a better idea of how many different office spaces we're looking at. But just St. David's broadly has invested $2.5 billion in the less than 30 years, or over 30 years, sorry, to expand their facilities and create the kind of medical access that they have here. Right now, they have over 2,600 physicians in employment. They've got 8 hospitals, over 1,500 beds that are serving patients across Central Texas. They have more than 10,700 colleagues, and that includes more than just the providers, right? It's all the staff, the technicians, everyone that goes with it, who are across there are many sites in Central Texas. And importantly, in terms of just the economic impact that they have in the community is their philanthropic investments. They have almost $800 million that they have invested in community grants through their foundation, the St. David's Foundation and the Georgetown Health Foundation. That is in addition to almost $5 billion in charity care that they provided to patients since 1996. You know, one of the facts that I thought was really interesting, and I thought someone who was walking with us had talked about when they came and delivered their child here at St. David's. But anyway, St. David's delivers 60% of the babies that are born in Central Texas. So that's just a glimpse into what their current economic impact is. Like I said, if you're looking specifically for kind of how many medical offices, how many physicians we're looking to hire, we can get that information a little bit further along. I don't think they have all those details worked out just yet, but we can certainly get that to you.
And do you have an idea of how big is the new medical office that is being planned for?
Yeah, so it's going to be 2 phases is what they're looking at right now. The first one is going to be somewhere between 110 and 120,000 square feet. And the second one will be around 80,000 square feet.
Okay, thank you. And just, sorry.
Okay, I have some questions too. I wanted to ask, go ahead, Rodrigo. I thought you were finished.
Yeah, sorry, just one more thing, talking about philanthropic things, and I don't know if they already do that, but just an idea. I think if I don't know if they have any activities that they do with the school, the San Telmo Elementary School. It's really close by there. I think it would be really cool if they would reach out to them, or I don't know, just in terms of community impact. I think it would be a good opportunity for the students there and for the community to I don't know, visit the hospital or something. I'm just thinking in terms of any community impacts that the positive impacts that the hospital could have in the neighborhood.
It's probably very likely that we already do something there through St. David's Foundation. So 40% of all the operating profit goes to St. David's Foundation. And in addition to dental care, because I have a bus that serves thousands and thousands of students throughout Central Texas. So that would be one way, but I'm sure they have other ways given the strategic, they have like, if you go to the St. David's Foundation website, you'll see they have strategic areas of focus, and we can find out what they're doing at St. Elmo, but there's a very high probability that they're already doing something there. And we can get that information to,
Okay.
we'll find out what they're doing and get it to Ray so he can circulate.
Thank you.
You said it was St. Elmo
And
Elementary.
I would,
Mhm.
Okay.
right. And thank you, Rodrigo. This leads into something that my wife came up with, which I'm going to, that's Elizabeth. If you don't mind, Elizabeth, I want to get that myself. As you know, this is all in District Council Member Vela's district. And so it might be, he would be very interested in having St. David's Foundation support the Lirios Pediatric Care, which is about just a few blocks away. It's free primary pediatric care, which is also a big deal for the St. Elmo Elementary. And I just want to throw that into the mixture because all those children that come down, not only from Southwood, but also all the children that come down from foundation communities are there in that same area. The two foundation communities at St. Elmo and Congress. And the free pediatric care is about 3 blocks from them on the other side of Congress. So that's just something I want to throw in there in terms of something that the St. David's Foundation might want to support, which they don't presently support. Let's see, my other question is, as far as zoning categories, Michael or April, this would be a CH-V-NP, is that it?
No, it'd be CH-NP.
Oh, okay. All righty. And
Well, with the CO,
then,
limiting the height. Yes.
would this be, yeah, there would be a CO for the neighborhood plan, yeah. What was that, Michael?
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, we had already offered to, if you wanted to put a CO, your maximum height's no greater than 120, which is the height of the hospital. So you can't go any higher than that under CH.
Yeah. Okay. And as far as, so I think you touched on this, Michael. So you're going to plan on filing a permit request for the zoning change with DSD, right? In the usual way?
And we will send you a copy of what we file. You'll get a full copy of it.
Yeah. The reason I ask is because I just want to make sure that, you know, we saw Kenny's condos did last, where Joy just read in a recommendation from staff, but y'all are going to go the usual route through DSD, right?
It'll be through zoning.
It would be a zoning case.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, regular zone case. That's the answer to my question. Then.
Yeah, it's, oh, I know,
And,
I see what you're saying.
if
It's not
anybody
a
wants-
I know what you're saying.
Oh,
It's not an amendment to the plan unit development. It's not an amendment to PUD. It's a zoning category that already exists. So it's just a common zoning case. It isn't a special zoning case.
Right, okay. If you want to know what I'm talking about, I'll explain that in writing later, but it's something that happened on June 1st in the zoning cases.
wait,
The,
Wait, what
Wait,
happened?
what?
What happened on June 1st? You're talking about the CHPDA amendment, the resolution from Leslie
no, I'm
Poole?
talking about Denny's condos.
Oh, the LIP.
No, I'm talking about Denny's condos where
oh,
she
on
actually
June 5th. Yeah.
read Joy actually read basically read Poole's resolution into the record as part of staff presentation.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that's obviously not what you're talking about. So I'll just, anybody in the contact team wants to talk about it later, I'll just tell them about it in writing.
Anna had asked a question in the chat that I just want to make sure doesn't get neglected about the impact on traffic on James Casey and Radham for the new medical offices. Will there be some sort of traffic impact study as the size of this facility gets worked out?
Yeah, what staff's doing now is a zoning traffic analysis.
We actually have a TIA already for the.
Oh, you're right, you're right. We actually have,
We'll send.
yeah, we do have the TIA from the site plan for this site. Sorry, I forgot about that. I need to find that. I'll find that and send that over so you guys can see that.
It'll be part of our zoning package because it's an approved site. It's an approved TIA already.
Mhm.
So it'll be included in our package.
And Anna had her hand up. Could we get back to Anna for a question?
That was my question. I had put it in the chat because I didn't want to forget it. And thanks for covering it, George.
Okay, and then David, do you want to be appointed in charge of this bicycling thing?
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to take a role in that. Understanding I'm out of town a lot the next few weeks, but between now and September, I'll have time.
Yeah, make the communication through me. Yeah, just make the communication through me, and then David, I'll make sure David sees it, whether he's sooner or later if he's out of town.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Is anything else? I mean, Susan, Anna has a hard deadline in about 6 minutes for a Zoom meeting.
Did you have them for letters?
I think the bicycling thing is our only future item.
Well, if April's about to ask about some sort of letter of support, then I'm personally not comfortable doing that tonight with so few of us here. I'd rather we chew on it if it's not going to upset your apple cart too much.
No, that's fine on the zoning. We do need a letter of support on the sign. We're trying to move on the sign. That's been filed. It's in review. We should be going to BOA in the next 30 days, I think.
Yeah, we're on the agenda for the July 10th.
Yeah, we need to do it tonight.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with doing that. My only suggestion is that in the letter that we make sure that the Board of Adjustment, I guess, if that's who it is, understands that this is only because of these particular rather unusual circumstances, and not, we don't want this to be seen as some kind of precedent for signs to go pop, pop, pop all around our neighborhood. And maybe that's evident, but it doesn't hurt to state it explicitly.
We concur, and we think
Yeah.
we can spell that out. It's on the highway frontage. It's next to a cut. It's because of the way things are measured. Those types of things, David.
Correct.
Yeah, that's going to be through the Board of Adjustments. We have to show them why it's a hardship in a unique circumstance. They aren't fans of giving variances to the code, and so we'll make very clear that it's because of the topography, the high rates of speed, the curvature there, that it requires a unique perspective on it, and because we would be compliant with code if not for the the grade there.
All righty, folks. We're gonna have to, before Anna has to leave in about 4 minutes. So let's go ahead and vote on the sign variance. And Elizabeth is raising her hand in my presence here. I hope y'all will take that as a positive vote. So anybody want to make a motion?
I
Or
move
I'll make a
approval.
motion. Do we have a?
Yeah, I'll second Ray's motion to approve.
Okay. And is there any discussion of the motion? We don't have but a minute or two. Okay, then. So we'll get you a letter of approval of this in our usual way according to our bylaws, and send it to the liaison of the staff. And unless we got everybody ready to adjourn it, because unless there's any objection, I'm going to adjourn and let Anna go to the next meeting. Okay. This
Thanks, everybody.
meeting is adjourned.
Thank you guys. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Nice seeing
Uh-huh.
everybody.
Y'all have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
This is what happened. My phone fell over and then it was.
I saved the chat and I will save the recording.